everyone! Today is my personal favorite video day, and that is book haul day.
It's time for a haul.
We decided we wanted to get this haul done before BookExpo BookCon, because that haul is always separate for us.
So it's technically our last haul before our bookish new year.
So we decided we were going to start off with things that were given to us as gifts. We're very lucky to have a lot of friends who like to share a lot of things with us. So,
but center stage for this particular haul would be Lily and Kristen. From Lily, she was able to be kind enough to grab us a bunch of Michael Vey books 1 to 4 and book 7.
So we're only missing 2
So we're only missing 2 now. And Michael Vey is a story about a bunch of kids who were the product of experiments done on their parents, sort of in the past, that allowed a crop of them to have electrical-based abilities. So one of them is like a human sort of echolocation kind of deal. Michael, who has Tourette's, it's apparently an offshoot of him being able to control electricity, period. And a bunch of other electrical related things. They're called the Electro Clan, and it just basically chronicles how they're able to both escape from whatever evil company that created them, and tries to use them against their use their powers against their will, whilst battling other kids who were recruited by said government thing. And so it's this weird kind of them versus us deal. Yeah. So it's their evil company's going to take over the world, and it's up to them now to be the one who can stop it or be eliminated in the process if they can't.
Lily also gave us the US version of the Cydia Beasts 10th Anniversary Edition by Cassandra Clare. In case you have not been on this channel recently, hello, my name is Alexa, and now I'm complete Shadowhunter's trash. But we already knew that was going to happen.
I am too, by the way.
I have shown this before. We got it also as a Christmas gift from my friend Lauren from Fiction Tea. She sent us the UK version of it, I believe. So this one has gold edges, still has the same art and stuff on the inside. As you can see, Clary. I'm pretty sure Jace is on the back, if I'm not mistaken.
There he is.
Right? Yes. I think this edition is very pretty. Love what they did with it. This is not necessarily my favorite Shadowhunters book in the world, but I don't also feel angry about the fact that I now own 2 copies of it, so we can move on now.
Things start with the first story.
The next set of books is from Kristen over at Super Space Chick, who kindly added quite a few things to our collection, which we're very excited about. Particularly, I'm also excited about this thing that Mackie's about to show you.
Yeah, one person's unhauling is another person's haul. Isn't that great? So this is the Percy Jackson series in hardbound. This is the first.
Happy.
Holding it upside down?
It's the no, you're fine.
I'm totally fine. So this is the first 5 books of the Percy Jackson, the Olympian series.
It goes that way.
All the way through, and it follows the adventures of Percy Jackson, who discovers that he's actually a demigod, and like any other demigod, is trying to not be killed by murderous things, trying to eat demigods. And of course find out about his parents, and then the plot against the Olympians.
It's so good!
It's so good.
I just love that series so much, and I never had the chance to get it in hardcover, because I read it like
ages ago,
late after it started getting published, so I only had the paperbacks, and you know,
now we have the hardcovers,
so very exciting. Kristen also passed on her copy of If I'm Being Honest, which is by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegemann Broca, and this one is basically a modern day retelling of The Taming of the Shrew. And if you guys know, I love Shakespearean retellings. I think they could be so well done. If they have potential to be so well done, is what I wanted to say. This one in particular I'm interested in because The Taming of the Shrew is one of those Shakespeare plays where I'm not necessarily keen on the entirety of that story. It's not one of my personal favorites, but I am curious to see how it plays out in a more modern contemporary sense, so that'll be fun. And she also passed on a copy of Girls with Sharp Sticks by Suzanne Jung, which is something I actually read earlier this year. And it involves a school specifically for girls where they're taught to be the best of the best in terms of behavior, comportment, everything like that. And then they are given roles after they graduate. You obviously can sense that something is not right about this setup. And so the book pretty much explores how the girls discover what's really going on at their school and what they decide to do about it. It took me by surprise. I don't normally read stories that have that sort of setup because they're not really my cup of tea, but this one I was just like, I could not put it down once I'd started it, and it was so compelling through and through.
Very interesting.
So very fun. Anyway, moving on. We're now going to talk about books that we got for review.
Yes, we are. We're going to start with the Camelot Code, Geeks and the Holy Grail. I don't even want to read the back because I'm so sold already. There's a little kid hanging on to a dragon. And there's 2 other little kids.
It's the second book.
Hanging on to another kid.
Oh, look again. It's book 2.
We get another book 2.
The title of the first one is The Once and Future Geek.
So thank you, Disney Hyperion, for this. So I kind of almost want to read through this if I'm not spoiled for the first book.
Can you just like read that part?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Even adventures that include a gassy baby dragon. Sounds like it'll be fun. So I am thankful for Disney Hyperion for sending this thing in the mail. Now we have to hunt for the first one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think that's also Disney.
Sleepwalkers, Sam Saves the Night by Shari Simpson. So 12-year-old Sam has no friends. Sold.
I like how that's...
But you can't really blame her. She lives her life in a state of chronic exhaustion thanks to her nightly sleepwalking jaunts, which include trips to the store, treehouse building projects, and breaking and entering.
Wow, that's impressive. I have no coordination.
None of which she remembers in the morning. Her condition is taking its toll on her family and her life, so when her mom takes her to see a wacky strip mall sleep specialist, Sam is wary but 100% in. And it looks like she meets a bunch of other sleepwalky friends because they're all in their PJs.
Sleepwalky.
And plus there's like a dog. So, thank you again, Disney Hyperion, for sending this thing. This thing's coming out in October.
Both are coming out.
Both are coming out in October, and I am so happy to try and see where those go. Lastly, my favorite part of this haul.
Hold things. The backstory of this particular next section is that we got asked if we were interested in featuring the series. And it is something that Mackie has had his eye on for a while. I have been curious about for a while, so I was like, of course we'll do it. And we are so, so blessed because we were actually sent the entirety of the series that is currently published. So...
without further ado...
yeah, I'm going to help you.
It's heavy.
I'm going to help you hold some of this. It's the Keeper of the Lost Cities series, which is by Shannon Messinger. Okay, you can put down some of the books now because that's a lot.
And look, a pin that says, I'm a keeper.
Because, oh, you are a keeper.
I am. So are you.
Oh, okay.
And again, main character is a young girl named Sophie Foster, who is a telepath. And I'm like, yes, I'm down for the telepathy and the awesome things. Seems to be set in a
There's a magic school.
And I love magic schools. In fact, one of the things that we want to come out with from a recommendation perspective is to recommend all the books that have magic schools.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing. And she meets a boy named Fitz. And we all love Fitz. I can't name a single Fitz that I didn't like.
You should show them the covers though, because they're pretty cool.
So this is book one,
Keeper of the
Lost Cities. So that's a really awesome book, and I assume that's little Sophie over there. And then book two is Exile. So that's Sophie.
I love
there's
this cover.
a winged. There's a pegacorn on there, or a winged unicorn, however you want to call it.
I
assume that still fits.
Love that
with
necklace.
her, when one hopes. The third is Everblaze, and that's well, that's not Fitz, is it? Because it's dark-haired now. Who is this boy? So semi-spoiling ourselves in the this looks like Fitz again with a blonde hair. This is never.
Wait, but he has someone with him too.
But someone's holding on his arm. What is happening?
I don't know. We haven't read it yet.
Never seen. This is never seen.
I like the titles.
I know. It's kind of really, really cool. And it seems to be some weird arcane ruins there. Book 5 is Lodestar.
Don't know who any of these people are, but
now there's new people,
great.
and one of these guys has like two-tone hair with like sort of like grayish.
Maybe I should just make that a recommendation
That's
list.
true.
People with two-tone
hair, or kind of on the grayish, silvery-haired side.
I like that cover too.
And then Nightfall, which is book 6.
Looks like it's underwater this time.
And it looks like it's underwater, and it looks like Fitz is back, and so is that girl that was on his arm the other time.
That's the girl. I don't know.
We don't know. None of us know.
And the most
anything.
recent one.
And the most recent one, which puts I want to say Sophie in a really cool action shot, and I think it looks like she's throwing a throwing star.
Yeah.
It's called Flashback, and look at that. That's like that cool little
cover
throwing. Thing, and I think it's gorgeous. And look at her; she's total action hero. I guess she's grown from sort of like the.
Yeah, she looks like she's really far from where.
Yeah, so which is very, very exciting.
That is right up your alley.
You're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but that was written at a time when they didn't really invest too much on book covers, depicting the actual story, as opposed to now where there's some authors who
can't wait.
So this is really going to be fun to try to slug through.
So many characters.
So many pages.
But it's also probably in gigantic font. Nope.
That's not gigantic font.
Oops, just kidding. So, the stuff I got for review, I have 3 historical romances. First, we have The Rogue of Fifth Avenue. The series is called Uptown Girls, so obviously it's set in New York. It's by Joanna Schufe. This is from Avon Books. I will read you what the back says. It says, silver-tongued lawyer, keeper of secrets, breaker of hearts. He can solve any problem, and so it's about a lawyer named Frank Tripp who basically has become a lawyer that is well known enough in social circles to now have gained a sort of reputation for himself. Except that there is a daughter of a client who is kind of bullheaded and clearly does not understand the meaning of being in a dangerous situation.
Does she live in an uptown world?
I guess. Which just so happens to be a girl named Mammy Green. She basically is just like, I don't I don't care about the rules being set on me, and I'm gonna explore the rest of Manhattan, even though technically I'm not supposed to be going down there. And so I'm sure shenanigans ensue, because that's how it rolls.
100% sure.
Next we have A Rebel by Beverly Jenkins, and this is part of the Women Who Dare series. And the back of this one says, it's a compelling new series that follows a northern woman who goes south in the chaotic aftermath of the Civil War. So there's obviously going to be a lot of racial tension in that one, which should be interesting. So the main character is named Valinda, and she goes down south because she wants to help people who are newly emancipated survive and flourish. She ends up finding that there's still a lot of tension involved, and so she also gets attacked, and so she kind of has to escape a dangerous situation and ends up running straight into the arms of a captain named Drake. And the last one is How to Catch a Wicked Viscount by Amy Rose Bennett. The series is called The Disreputable Debutantes. So Maggie and I were actually discussing, how do you catch a wicked Viscount? Like, there's catching a normal one, and then there's the wicked one.
Kind.
So how does that actually work?
Is there any, like food or lures involved? Perhaps it involves disreputable debutantes. Perhaps that is the key.
Apparently. So the main character's named Sophie, and she's kind of shy and bookish, and she needs to make an advantageous match in order to help her improve her family's fortune. So the other two art copies that I received in the mail were The Flatshare by Beth O'Leary, and they also sent this post-it, and the post-it has a background that says, "What if your roommate was your soulmate?" This one is from Flatiron Books, and it actually comes out at the end of May. And essentially, it's about two people who share a flat, but they don't actually live in the flat at the same time. So one has a night shift job and one has a day shift job, and so they kind of just alternate. So it's almost like they're living alone, but not. And the way they get to know each other is by leaving post-it notes.
That's cute. That is cute.
I'm here for contemporary romance, so happening. And then we have from Freeform Books, which I am very curious about this one. It's called Cydia Beasts by Cory Wong, and it says, "A river divides them, a rescue unites them."
Ooh.
That's the tagline. It says, "For years, the land of Fees and the land of Beast have existed side by side in relative peace." So Glory is the youngest granddaughter of Grand Island's leader, and she knew 27 Beast counterattack moves by the time she was 7. Basically, it's actually a world where the sexes are separated also,
interesting.
as well. But when her mom secretly gives birth to a baby boy, she ends up, loving her baby brother and wondering, are all men really beasts? I don't know where this is going to go, so I guess we're going to find out. Those are the two arcs I got. Everything else is a finished copy. So first from Berkeley Romance, or actually Berkeley, I have a finished copy of Natalie Ten's Book of Luck and Fortune. It is so much more neon than I thought it was going to be, and it's shiny.
Very shiny.
I actually talked about this one in a What We Read as well. It is a contemporary women's fiction story about a young woman named Natalie who returns home after her mother's death and finds that her mother has left her the restaurant that her grandmother used to own. It has always been Natalie's dream to own her own restaurant, so this seems like a, fate. Her neighborhood fortune teller / neighbor tells her that the only way to ensure the success of her restaurant is to cook 3 dishes for 3 of the neighbors and help them solve their problems. And so there's a whole magical realism aspect to this. It's tied to food, which is incredible. I had a lot of fun reading this one. It incorporates a lot of food references and musical references into a story that is about a young woman coming to terms with her own heritage, her complicated relationship with her mother, her lack of a relationship with her grandmother and father, and also coming to terms with coming home to a neighborhood that she does love but also felt stifled by it at one point in her life.
Cool.
So interesting. I actually went into it expecting more of a romance, so that part was a little bit of a letdown. Otherwise, it was really enjoyable. I also got really hungry reading it because all these food descriptions, on point. I also think, and I've said this in my What We Read, that this would make such a great film or TV show because just seeing the food being cooked would have been amazing.
Now I'm really hungry.
Next is a book with a very cute title. It's called I Love You So Muchi by Sarah Kuhn. Kimi Nakamura loves a good fashion statement. So she's basically obsessed with fashion. And so when she fights with her mom over this obsession with fashion, she gets an invitation from her estranged grandparents to come and visit them in Kyoto for spring break. I'm jealous. Someone invite me to visit Kyoto for spring break, please and thank you. She ends up going to Japan, and while she's there, she sort of, I guess, experiences something that is sort of like a coming of age, but also growing into your own self. I'm looking forward to reading that one too. This one is from Scholastic. Next, we have a book that I got for review but haven't read yet because I'm a terrible person. Dark Shores by Danielle L. Jensen. In case you couldn't tell by the cover, it involves an adventure on the high seas. And who isn't here for that in this household? So there is a pirate with a will of iron. Her name is Tariana. And then there's a soldier with a secret named Marcus. And they end up embarking on a dangerous quest together.
Sounds good.
Another finished copy is Mistress of the Ritz which is from Delacorte Press, and this is by Melanie Benjamin. This is historical fiction, and it's set at the Hotel Ritz in Paris. And that's really all I needed to know about it. First, Parisian setting, second of all, set during World War I, and then the main character is a female who plays an unexpected role during that time. The last book that I got from publishers came from Macmillan, and that book is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. This is the ordinary version of it, where the symbol over there is just embossed. And they sent some character art with it. So I have Benjamin and Zafira. I kind of wish I had Altera because he's my favorite, but you know. But I actually also wanted to mention, and this is segueing straight into books we bought, I also have a Barnes & Noble copy of We Hunt the Flame, because this version of it actually has a blue cover, and it also has the symbol embossed in gold instead. So We Hunt the Flame is basically the story of two characters. We have Zafira, who is the hunter who basically feeds her village at this point by hunting in an enchanted wood where not very many people can get back out without any issues. So Zafira is afraid of what it will mean, or what will happen, or what the consequences will be when they discover that it is not a hunter but a huntress. And the other main character is not Benjamin. It happens to be Nasir, who is considered the Prince of Death because he is a crown prince, but he is also an assassin, and he pretty much murders people at his father's bidding. And these two cross paths when they are both after the same magical artifact that could have the potential to change the entire landscape of Aroea. And they find that there may just be a little more than they bargained for in the process, and it's really enjoyable, really fun. Highly recommend checking that out. Also, thank you for the free copy, but also yay for the Barnes & Noble copy. When I was in Paris, I exhibited some self-restraint and only bought 2 books when I could have bought more. We visited Shakespeare and Company, which is an English language bookstore that is right across from Notre Dame, and it's very delightful. You can't really take any pictures or videos of the inside, but it is delightful and stuffed with books in every nook and cranny, which is great because it's Shakespeare and Company. I picked up a Shakespeare book, obviously. This is the Pelican Shakespeare version of Romeo and Juliet.
Of course.
Romeo and Juliet was the first Shakespeare play I ever read in its entirety and in its original version. 13-year-old me obviously did not have a grasp of the vocabulary, so I kept having to like look up things and underline things, and obviously a lot of it probably went over my head the first time I read it. I really enjoyed this edition.
Spoilers though, the front covers 2 coffins.
Oh, I like the back too. It's like an ampersand, and then it has the dagger and the poison bottle,
which is super cool.
And the next is this lovely edition of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It is the vintage classics edition of this, and it has all of like the character things in the front in a pattern. Okay, explanation for why I have a Charles Dickens book in this one.
I know where this is going, I think.
In the Infernal Devices series.
There it is.
One of the books that Tessa and Will connect over is A Tale of Two Cities. And there's also a moment where a copy of A Tale of Two Cities actually shows up in that story, and it also makes an appearance in City of, I think I want to say Heavenly Fire. It's either Heavenly Fire or Glass. It's one of them.
Whatever. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The important thing is that Will and Tessa read it, so guess who's also going to be a schmuck and read it?
Plus, Will and Tessa quote it too, so...
Yes. Also, there is a stamp from Shakespeare and Company in that and in the other one, and it has sprayed edges. And now we're onto a book I bought because I simply had to have it after listening to the audiobook, and that's Lovely War by Julie Berry. I will not get sick of talking about this book because it is basically a recounting of 2 love stories set against the backdrop of World War I and World War II, but it is told from the perspective of the Greek gods. So good. Aphrodite kicks off the story, but a lot of the other gods get involved at some point in telling it, and it's so great. I would actually even recommend reading it through the audiobook because it just gives so much more color to each god and each character. So good. I was so emo listening to it though, so it was probably not the best life choice, but it was also the best life choice. I don't know.
I was about to say, or it was.
So, can't complain about this. This is one of the books, it came out this year, and I don't think I've seen enough people talk about it. So if you think that sounds at all interesting, you should definitely pick it up. Alright, I'm gonna save my last set for last because...
Brief interlude. I was able to finally get the last book of the Dragon Rider Legacy series by Nicole Conway. It is set 40 years after her Dragon Rider Chronicles series was focusing on a half-elf, half-human boy named Javid Broadfeather, who unwittingly manages to get a wild dragon to sort of be tamed and allow him to ride it, and therefore become a dragon rider from out of nowhere. Usually dragon riders are, kind of nobles in the dragon zone, it's sort of pick. And so 40 years later, the Kingdom of Maldabar is in trouble yet again from apparently an ancient enemy that had tried these shenanigans before. That's part of the story. That's a minor spoilery kind of deal.
For the first series, right?
For the second series. The current main character is the Princess Ameldabar Jenna, who happens to be one of the more fiercest dragon riders out there. And so it talks about Javid's legacy, what happens after the events of the of the last 40 years, and just how the new threat is met also with an ancient secret that is at the very core of Meldabar, and
God, I love
whatever
classic fantasy tropes.
The vernacular is contemporary, even if the setting is high fantasy. So very much recommend. I think Nicole Conway ended this series very, very well. It's a third book rather than a fourth. So the fourth one was a quartet. This one's a trilogy, and Legacy just happens to be one of the best. So highly recommend that.
We are going to end this video with the finale, literally. So we have the Barnes & Noble edition of Finale. That is the US cover. The UK hardcover edition of Finale, which is red and white, and it also has a secret cover at the bottom. You can also open that one because I think it has a symbol on it, I want to say. Yes. So it has the star on that. This one has a quote on it that says, "The most magnificent things are worth living for." Ooh. And we have a third special edition. This is the Fairy Loot exclusive edition of Finale. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can ignore this part, but this is the beautiful Fairy Loot edition. It is black and white instead of red and white. Still has the rose gold detail. It has the black on the top and the bottom, and it's got the card suits on these.
Which is magnificent.
And it also has the quote, but it's black but it's funny to me because I got the same quote on this one, which I don't disagree with that statement, so I can't even be mad about it. And this one is signed. Ta-da!
Even better.
Okay. Finale is the third book in the Caraval series. It is a great conclusion to both Scarlet and Tella's stories, and it wraps them up very well together because you get all of the lore and the whimsy of the world that Stephanie Garber has been building, as well as the complicated relationships. And I think it was very emotionally roller coaster ridey. I'm just gonna say it like that. It was definitely quite an experience. It doesn't quite win my heart over as much as the first two, specifically Legendary of the first two, because I had just missed the Caraval aspect of it, like the whole actual Caraval aspect of it. But otherwise, it was definitely a solid ending to a series, and I did not know that we were gonna go here when we first started the series, but we did, and
here we are now.
So that is the finale to our book haul. Because I'm so clever.
I was gonna say clever. Very well.
We're very excited about all of these books, extremely. And we hope you are too. What was the last book you hauled? Have you hauled any of the ones that we hauled? Because we hauled quite a lot. I have to fix our bookshelves again. There's just no room for anything anymore.
That is true.
As usual. Anyway, this is the last haul before Bookish New Year, aka BookExpo and BookCon, which we're very excited about. The next haul you'll see is probably going to be that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see you guys with another video soon.
Bye.